Hi guys, welcome back to Liam O'Connor Audio. Today I thought I might give a kind of a run through of the different guitars that I use. Just ones that I picked up over the years that I still have, and you might see hanging around the studio in all the videos that I do. I don't tend to get rid of guitars usually. There are a couple that I'll mention that have moved on over the years, but these are the ones that I've held on to. So firstly, an honourable mention has to go to an Encore Stratocaster. If you haven't heard of Encore as a guitar brand before, I wouldn't blame you. It was the first guitar my parents bought me from a place called Argos. I'm not sure if you'll have that in your country, but it's basically a store that sells just about anything. It wasn't great, but it helped me learn guitar, I suppose. In the end, I kind of just took it apart to see how it worked, basically, which was dumb because there's not really that much to a guitar. And I never really ended up putting it back together, and I'm pretty sure it ended up in a skip, but I'm not too distraught over it because, I mean, it was worth about 20 quid probably by the end. I mean, second hand and that, they would not have any value, and it wasn't very playable, but you know, we all start somewhere. Next up is my, let's see if I can get that in a shot, my Epiphone SG special model. I'm not sure why it's a special model. Originally it wasn't covered in all these stickers. I went through a phase at one point of sticking any vinyl stickers that I got with products or just bought randomly onto my guitar. I think, yeah, it kind of looks cool and a kind of a punk rock kind of thing going on, maybe. Yeah, so it's a solid body model. It's Epiphone or Epiphany. I always called it Epiphone. I've heard some people online call it Epiphany. I kind of prefer Epiphone. I'm not sure which is right. But anyway, it's the cheap Gibson kind of offshoot brand. It's a decent enough guitar actually. I used this for many years. Again, it's not exactly, it's an amateur level guitar really, like pretty cheap, but I even added a little pick holder to the back. Yeah, I was actually thinking I might upgrade this guitar, put new pickups, locking tuners in, and this little switch down here has been broken for years. It also needs a string change. I can see visible rust on these strings because I haven't played it in a few years. But yeah, I still leave it hanging on the wall just as a reminder and an option. I mean, you know, an SG will sound differently to, it's the only SG I own, and it will sound different to Les Pauls or Telecasters, so you know, it's there as an option. The next guitar that I bought was this Tanglewood, I believe it's a Warrior III, although I've lost the cover that should go here, which said what the model exactly was. But anyway, Tanglewood Warrior III, semi-hollow body, which is pretty cool. I think that's the main reason why I bought it at the time. But it's a really nice bass. First and only bass I've ever bought. It does have some issues where the input jack kind of tends to stick, like the jacks are hard to put in and pull out again, and it after a while of using the same lead with this guitar, the lead tends to break, so I tend to have one lead specifically for this bass, and I don't use that lead with anything else. But yeah, it's a decent guitar. I went through a phase for a little while of being a bassist in a couple of bands, but I was never really that into it, so I never really bothered upgrading from this. But I'm not sure if you'd really need to. I mean, maybe if you were in a metal band like I tend to be and you wanted a 5-string in order to play lower, but for general purposes and just for the sake of having a bass knocking about the studio, this is a great option. And it's very pretty. Which is one of my main things with guitars, they always have to be pretty. And next up is my Ovation Celebrity. Quickly first though, there was another acoustic, there was two other acoustics actually, sorry. There was one first acoustic which was some really cheap off-brand random guitar that I inherited from an aunt, and I'd say that was actually really my first guitar before the Stratocaster even, but I never really played it because I kind of picked it up and it hurt my fingers so much that I kind of gave up until I got an electric. But yeah, and then after that I still have an Oakman acoustic somewhere in my parents' house. I haven't brought it down to Galway yet because I just don't need it. But yeah, that's, again, it wasn't a fantastic guitar by any means. It was just serviceable, and it was handy for like just jamming in pubs with friends and stuff like that. This, however, is my main acoustic that I use on a day-to-day basis. It's electroacoustic, has a built-in pickup, jack at the back. It's got the round fiberglass body, so it's handy for playing live where it cuts down on feedback. And yeah, aside from that, really, it's just a nice guitar. It's what I use on a daily basis. Although lately I've been focusing a lot more on electric guitar since I bought my really nice guitar in the background there, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Next up is this guy. It's a Yamaha 42012. That's kind of a random number to pick. I'm not sure what the model is. My fiance inherited this guitar from her aunt. Surprisingly, there's a lot of that going around. It's a 12-string Yamaha. I'm not really sure where it came out of originally, but it's kind of cool to have a 12-string just knocking about the studio. It's great, like. I need to restring it and tune it, but I haven't gotten around to that yet because this kind of seems like a difficult big job to do, even though it's not. I mean, it's probably the same as just restringing and tuning two guitars. I mean, it's fine. But yeah, I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But yeah, it's a nice guitar. We had it roughly in tune at one point. Now it's really off now. So it probably needs a bit of love, a bit of attention, but I just haven't had time yet. But yeah, 12-string. I've always wanted a 12-string, but then when I got one, I just never really got around to using it. Just kind of, I don't know. Next up is my Epiphone Studio Gothic. This is a Les Paul model guitar, same brand as my SG, but I mean, back then, this is going back, God, 10, 15 years, probably more like 10, I think. But yeah, I wasn't really rich enough to go buying really good gear at the time, so I was buying a lot of this kind of thing, you know, cheap enough but serviceable. It weighs a good bit more than the SG, which I was kind of surprised by. I never realised that Les Pauls were so heavy, but I guess that's where you get a lot of the sustain and sound from. So this was my main guitar for a long time. During college as well, when I was studying music production, I used to be knocking this about, and I probably should have gotten a better guitar because it's not really up to scratch, but it was nice and serviceable, and I still use it every once in a while. I still use it as my main 6-string until I got my Chapman guitar, which we'll get to later. Yeah. That's a nice looking guitar. It's got this like matte black finish, and it sounds pretty good. It's just it didn't hold its tuning very well, and just generally could have been better. has this cool inlay where it's just the 12th fret as inlay, mother of pearl I think, and it just says 12 on it in Roman numerals, which I like. So yeah, but this was inevitably going to be replaced. I don't think I'd ever get rid of it though. It's got a lot of memories to it. I gigged with this an awful lot. But then that guitar was replaced by this even heavier Les Paul model. It's a LTD, kind of the off-brand of ESP I think, isn't it? Yeah. So an LTD 7-string Les Paul. This was the first really good guitar I ever bought. It was also the first guitar I bought after I landed a really high-paying job, or a good paying job. So this was my main guitar for the last 5-ish years, I'd say. At the time I was playing in this kind of post-metal, post-rock, post-metal band, kind of sludgy, doomed type music. Yeah, so we were really into like lower tunings and, you know, extended register guitars. I didn't want to down tune my guitar, so buying a 7-string was kind of the obvious choice. And this is a very good guitar. It's very nice. It weighs a ton, but sounds fantastic. You get really great sustain, really great low end. I had it tuned to like drop A, so the top 6 strings, the highest 6 strings are just standard tuning like you'd find on any guitar, and the 7th is meant to be a B string, so I dropped it to A, so you have A, E, A on the lowest 3 strings for a power chord. And yeah, gigged with this a huge amount over the last 5 years, and it sounds beautiful. It's kind of difficult to play though, because the neck is wide obviously to accommodate the 7th string, so that kind of hindered my learning of the guitar craft essentially. I mean, I learned how to play a lot of power chords and stretch my hand a lot, but now I'm focusing more on 6-string stuff. But this is a guitar for life as far as I'm concerned. This will always be in my studio. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no reason to replace it really. It's a beautiful instrument. And that brings me to the last on the list, the Chapman ML Pro Triton. I've had this guitar about a month now, and as far as quality, it's comparable to the LTD, but it's a 6-string obviously, and it's a Telecaster, so 2 points that make it vastly different. Play vastly different stuff on it. I mean, you can still do metal on it obviously. You can play metal on anything really if you just get the tone right. But yeah, this is my main #1 go-to guitar at the minute, and it probably will be for several years. I can't really see any reason to buy another guitar for a long while now. I mean, I have a bass that's serviceable, sounds great. I have a 7-string, sounds fantastic, and I have a 6-string that sounds fantastic. And then I have some other 6 strings which are usable. Really the only problem with them is that they don't hold the tuning very well, but you know, it's fine, just tune between takes, you know. They're good, they'll be grand for studio guitars. This would be a great guitar for live work as well. Holds its tuning beautifully, sounds fantastic. Has this maple fretboard which is gorgeous. The 12th fret inlay is like this black infinity symbol, which just is cool. Or reminds me of Devin Townsend. It almost makes it seem like it's a Devin Townsend signature model or something, like something from Ocean Machine, since it's got this kind of aqua blue finish. The finish is also really awesome. It's like this blue stain rather than a paint or a lacquer or anything like that. And yeah, it's just like a traditional Telecaster otherwise. It's got the Telecaster style pickups, Telecaster style bridge and controls. Bit odd with the headstock. Took a bit of getting used to having the tuning pegs on the other side, like the wrong side essentially. It's almost like it's a left-handed guitar, but then body doesn't make sense with that, so I don't know. But yeah, and it came with these strap locks as well, and I had considered buying strap locks and adding them to all my guitars for a while. I'm kind of glad I didn't now, because they're not actually that fantastic. I mean, I got these little rubber washer type things to slip over the strap on top of the ordinary strap attachment, and they work just as well and don't rattle. And I mean, that's not a case of these being loose or anything, they just rattle anyway. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'd recommend strap locks to anybody anymore. The cheap rubber ones you can get are actually far superior. Yeah, they just look like that. You can buy them off of Amazon or AliExpress or anywhere really, really cheap, and they work as well, if not better. Yeah, so as I said with the SP, this is a guitar for life. I don't think I'd ever get rid of it. I would never sell it on. It's going to be the mainstay in the studio. Anytime you hear me play 6-string electric, really, it's going to be on this. Eventually, maybe I'll take a fancy to like a high quality other guitar. I had tossed a coin really between buying one of these and buying some kind of a Jaguar or Jazzmaster or something like that. But in the end I fell in love with the look of this, and I always kind of wanted a Telecaster for several years now. I never liked the look of them, but then this one just caught my eye. I think the lack of a pickguard is the main thing, really. I don't like the look of a Telecaster pickguard, and the finish on this just kind of clinched the deal, really. So yeah, that's a rundown of all the guitars I use in my studio at the minute. Ones that aren't here but I've used in the past, I guess. So thanks for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button and check back next week.